I'm not sure if you noticed it in the last lectures. With our working application, if I add servers and blueprints, something changed. A new server down here in the blueprint, as well as the paragraph right at the top, no longer has a blue color. Now it was colored blue before, because in the app component CSS file, we defined that paragraphs should have a blue text color. But both paragraphs were moved. They are no longer part of our app component here. The first paragraph is part of the cockpit, and the second paragraph, well, that is inside of our server element. But isn't that strange? Here, on this CSS definition, we just say paragraph. So it should affect all paragraphs in our whole app. Now you might say, well, no, it's in the app component CSS file, so clearly it only belongs to this template. But is that so clear? Because the way CSS works, it doesn't really care in which CSS file you define a rule. It simply is applied to the whole document normally. So this actually is a behavior enforced by Angular, which is not the default behavior of the browser. So whilst of course these CSS files have the goal of encapsulating styles for the component they belong to, this again is not a default behavior. Angular gives us this behavior. And it's a great behavior because with that, we can make sure that whichever styles we define in a CSS file will only get applied to the component they belong to. However, here of course, this means that now we would have to copy this blue color here to all our other, components where we want to use it. Well, I never wanted to use it on the cockpit anyways, but I will copy it to the server element. And if we now change this and let it reload and enter something here and add a new blueprint, now you see this is blue again. Now it's interesting, if we inspect this text here in the developer tools, you see that if you have a look at the styles, clearly here we assign a blue color. But do you see that? The selector changed. Before we had just P here, just paragraph. Now it's paragraph and then this very strange attribute, underscore ng content dash ejo dash 2. Well, I don't know about you, but I didn't add it. You can see this attribute here on the paragraph. That is why this style gets applied here, because this style definition says make every text blue, which is in a paragraph, where the paragraph has this attribute, something which is true for the paragraph holding this specific text. Now the other paragraph we have in app cockpit, here in the div, this paragraph does have a different attribute, underscore ng content ejo1. Down here we have ejo2. That is why the styling gets not applied to this paragraph. And all these strange attributes, which you can see all over the place here, all these strange attributes are applied to their specific elements by Angular. Angular, as I told you, enforces this style encapsulation. And it can't do that magically. So the way it does it is it simply gives the same attribute to all elements in a component. So all elements in this cockpit component have ng content ejo1 attached to it, as you can see. And it does this for each component with different unique attribute names, ejo1 and ejo0 and ejo2. And with that, it can make sure that once it changed your style selector, it automatically adds this attribute selector to all your styles defined for a component, that these styles get only applied to elements of that component. This is how it enforces this behavior. It kind of emulates the shadow DOM. The shadow DOM is a technology not supported by all browsers, where each element has its kind of own shadow DOM behind it, where you then could assign styles to each element. But as this technology is not supported by all browsers, this is how Angular emulates it. And that is the default behavior of view encapsulation in Angular.